All right. Hello, hello. How is everybody doing today? Make sure my mic is actually working. Yes, it is. Cool. ASMR. The sound effects tiles are in the Corgi Coins rewards under the chat. Looks like my chat display doesn't want to connect over here, so I'm going to push it somewhere else. Where's the chat bot? There's the chat bot. This will show me. There we go. I have activated the Blitz bot. That is a scary thing to hear, I guess. I don't know. Will they let you file a but on channel points? What are you asking, Eco? Will they let you file on channel points? I don't know what that means. A bug. I don't know. They haven't asked me for feedback or anything. The new command only works in his channel. There we go. This is recorded, yes. It'll go on my Twitch videos page. So if you go to Chris Biscardi, this will play back for a second. And then we go to videos. It has all of my past streams over the last 60 days, 30 days, something like that. Maybe 15 days. But yeah, it goes here, and then I usually wait a day or two, and then I put it on YouTube. On a archive. So there's a YouTube channel with the same stuff, and then it goes into where's the playlists? I have a playlist with the coding live streams. So anything that happens that is substantial and makes a good stream, I usually minimally edit and then post to that. But today, we are going on Netlify and FaunaDB. Hey, Lori, how's it going? Good to see you. Actually, I wanted to turn on the background music. If I can get that playing. And I don't think that's going to be too loud, but let me know. So yeah, FaunaDB. Netlify just released an add-on for it. The add-ons, if you look at Netlify add-ons, are basically partnerships with people, I think. It looks like there might be an opportunity to make one of your own, but that sounds like, yeah, so contact David Wells. That's basically, if you have your own startup and whatnot, or company, and you want to build one. At least that's what I think it is for now. It seems like it's in beta. I checked out the Netlify dashboard, and there is no way to enable an add-on from the dashboard. So we're going to have to use the CLI to actually enable this add-on. FaunaDB. So did a little research into FaunaDB. It's a little more interesting than I actually thought it was going to be. Where am I going to look at this? Oh, hey, thanks for the sub, John. I have so many monitors and I just reorganized them all. That's the one thing I'm gray on for Netlify. What, the partnerships? So I have a bunch of things here. I landed on this page for FaunaDB to check out what it was earlier. And I didn't get very far because I think the second or third link here somewhere was... No, I landed on this page, I think. So I think I landed on this page. I hit like the quick start or the what is Fauna or something like that. And then hit the Jepsen tests for Fauna. So if you're not familiar with Jepsen, Jepsen is basically Kyle Kingsbury and I guess a couple other people now. I don't know for sure because I haven't been following it too closely. But yeah, so I'm about to tell you what Fauna is, Laurie. Hey, Horatio, how's it going? So Fauna is based on Calvin, which is the paper that came out like right before Spanner came out. Which basically, if you're not familiar with like databases and consistency models and stuff, is the distributed real-time or like distributed wow, I can't use words right now. It's a OLTP SQL roughly database that does consistent transactions over geo-distributed shards, basically. So when we look at the Jepsen test, I was actually really happy. So I went through this whole thing, pulled out a couple notes that I wanted to sort of share. The first one being that the tests ran and then there were some issues and Fauna fixed them, which is always really dope. Thanks for the sub, Jason. So really when I look at Jepsen tests, which are a set of tests that basically test the consistency guarantees of various databases and stuff like that, the thing that I look for is to see whether the company like acknowledged that there were issues and then fixed them, because that is the typical way that it works. There's really nothing that like does a Jepsen test with the actual Jepsen people and then is like, hey, yeah, everything works. So I'm really happy to see that basically Fauna seems to have done the Jepsen tests. There were issues found, and then they went back and fixed them all. So that gives me a lot of confidence in their sort of approach to this implementation and service. Saw a presentation by the creator of Fauna. Really cool stuff. He sounded like someone just ran over his favorite toy. That's just mean, Naim. You don't need to make that observation. Make me cool. See, Jason and Eco are trying to figure out that other bot. So yeah, there's basically Spanner and there's Calvin, and the Spanner, if you're not familiar with it, uses basically very closely synced clocks across the world. They call that protocol true time. It is not easy to set up, and I don't think that anybody other than Google really has it set up. But it's possible that somebody else did and I didn't pay attention. But Calvin doesn't do that. It uses a distributed log and sequences them in batches of windows to avoid needing to do that, is my understanding. So yeah, very cool. The query language is seemingly very full-featured, like an entire Lambda calculus implementation. So that's why you see Lisp here, which is, I think Clojure is the DSL they used here. Apparently there's a JSON AST that represents this as well, which is pretty cool. Don't really need to go over any of that. But yeah, really the thing that I wanted to point out is that the consistency models that were verified for Fauna are basically very, very high in terms of the constraints. So if you're not familiar with consistency models, basically this chain on the right is the like single object kind of consistency model stuff, and the left is the multi-object across. What are you? Thank you, Blitz Jackson, the robot. Yeah, so basically the effect is that Fauna sits somewhere in here between snapshot isolation and strictly serializable, which is pretty impressive. So very, very cool stuff. If you really want to get into the weeds, there's this paper. And if you don't want to get that quite into the weeds, there's this morning paper summary of the paper. So let's see, I can dump this into chat. in case anybody wants to check it out later. Yeah, muted. Great. So this is the morning paper. These are the Jepsen tests. If anybody is interested in that stuff. Thanks, Jason. So yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to cover before we actually get into getting this up and running. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. There's a GraphQL interface to this at some point. Also, I thought we were still on the welcome stream the whole time. What's the welcome stream? Oh, man. Hey, Johnny. How's it going? Nice to see you. What Owen Wilson wow is a thing? Should be. I think I might have gotten rid of it, but it was at one point a thing. So yeah, we're going to go into Fauna. We're going to use the add-on. I'm going to have to set up a secret fairly quickly because I don't have a Fauna account. And I don't even know if I have the Netlify CLI installed. So we're going to install the Netlify CLI globally first. So we're starting from scratch here. I do have a project with some Netlify functions. We will be using the Golang APIs or the Golang driver to do our queries and stuff. Fauna is a document database, so we'll have to look into a little bit of the schema stuff. Like I said, this is my first use of Fauna ever, so we'll have to go through the documentation and see what we can figure out. So we have... don't want to use the login. So we're going to do Netlify add-ins create Fauna. I don't think this needs to, or this requires anything to log in, so I'm just going to run it. I'm in the root of the site that I happen to have my stuff in. Netlify CLI, yep, authorized. I'm already logged in, so that was easy. You are now logged into your Netlify account. I was logged in before, but I hope this ticket number isn't important. But if it is, then your please hold screen. Twitch mobile doesn't load the video all the time, so I thought you hadn't started sharing your screen yet. Oh, that's unfortunate. Twitch mobile seems like it needs a bunch of work. Do a secret on the screen share. It's a security hole Jay Langsdorff won't ever give us. That's because you always tell him right before he does it. If you didn't tell him, he would display his secrets more often. Please run inside a site folder or Netlify link. There should be a... I don't know if I need to put my ID in here, so this is a little bit... I don't use the CLI. I always use the web UI or the Git stuff. So I wonder what Netlify link does. Enter. I can enter the site ID. Choose from a list of your recently updated sites. That sounds fun. That doesn't look like... This is all of my sites. Okay. It's this one. I wonder if that changed anything. Added .netlify. I wonder what .netlify is. What do you think that this state.json has a secret in it? I bet you, I don't know. I'm not gonna cat that. Okay, so where are we? Did we actually succeed at creating this add-on? I don't think so because we didn't link it. We are logged in. Okay, so we need to rerun this add-on. So we'll create Fauna, hopefully because it has the ID now. The secrets command. Add-on Fauna created for Solicitor Seal 13462, which is my personal site. We won't see it. We'll turn our backs and cover our eyes and nobody will see it. People check in .netlify all the time? Okay. I don't know if I should trust you or not. You haven't missed too much, Bipasama. If you want like an overview of FaunaDB, given on a very, very coarse level, that'll be the... I did change the site name, actually, Talvs. It's not the site name when I go to my dashboard. It just keeps the old one because I think that's the ID of the site and doesn't really ever go away. So like you see my domain and everything, but this is the name for sure. So yeah, there's no like UI for this, so we're not gonna go look for it because I already tried that. Let's see, where's our Fauna instructions? Okay, so we've created the Fauna add-on. We do need to create some authentication stuff here. So I'm going to go over to the FaunaDB site and create an account because I want to sort of log that in first. Let's see, I can log in with GitHub or Netlify. GitHub would make it really easy for the stream, so I think I'm going to do that. I usually do not do that. But yeah, I'm using GitHub to log into Netlify, so I'll use GitHub to log into Fauna too. If I ever need anything else, then I will do it a different way. Should not show that name unless that is in the local config. So does this mean I can move everything to Fauna? That's kind of hype. Front-end DB serverless. Yeah, basically. So Fauna kind of has a GraphQL API and it has its own query language called f.QL. And I've never seen this page before. So yeah, let's kind of... Complete documentation can be found here. Let's check out the complete documentation. I believe we already did all of this. Yes, we are at this point. We need to do this. I bet you since I did it through GitHub, that this is gonna cause me a problem. Ha, it did not. Here's my database name though. I hope that isn't secret. I hope that is, I don't know, it says import. I don't know if I can change that name. So I didn't change it because I don't want to just like break stuff randomly. But I would like to give that a different database name. So maybe when you're importing, if the like modal could tell me whether like changing that name will matter or not. But yeah, overall this has been really smooth so far. I think I have a database. It's connected to my account. Looks like there's an auth token down here, which I haven't fully shown, I don't think. So yeah, let's take a look, I guess, at... Or let me clear that out, because I don't know if anybody's going to be able to take that. So I'm going to go to the BRB screen and then come back while I clear this off my terminal. Because I know how much y'all love secrets. It's fine to change the name. We'll add that to the modal. Thanks. Dope. Yeah, that's awesome. Because yeah, I won't remember what this is at any point. I wonder if I can change it now, or if it'll mess anything up. Change it. Scardy.com. Don't know if dots mean anything or anything like that, so yeah, hopefully that won't break anything. I don't have any clients, so I'm not worried about breaking any clients. I'm mostly just mostly concerned about breaking the integration between like Netlify and Fauna somehow. It looks like it's doing something at least. Maybe it's communicating to Netlify and being like, hey, this is the new database. It's taking quite a while and hasn't updated me yet, so I'm wondering if we hit an error. couple metrics stuff being blocked. Attempted to access. So there's a CORS error here. So I don't know if I can actually. Let's go back to console home. Let's go here. It's interesting that there's a CORS error here. Yeah, CORS is not fun, but I think that was right when I tried to. No, that looks like earlier, because I didn't have this open earlier. But yeah, so hopefully that is fine. So one thing I do know about Fauna from reading the couple of things that I've read is that databases can basically be nested. So we have a database here. I believe this is called a database. And then we can also have like child databases. So it's multi-tenant by default. We don't really need multi-tenancy because I'm the only person using this and I'm not giving it to anybody. But I do believe we need to create a collection because collections are tables, and I really like that this is just sitting here being like, if I didn't already look at this beforehand and know that collections were tables, that would be nice. So this collection is going to be tweets. The front end still needs some work. Until recently it had an issue with keys and auth. Metric ton of fun triaging it with the team. Well, it's good that they fixed it. Fauna has a pretty solid Twitter for resources as well, so that's cool. What's, I guess, just Fauna? Yeah. So this is their Twitter. Apparently, Fauna's GraphQL API is ready for production, so that's cool, Let's see. Let's do, let's call it DevTip tweets, because that's what we're working with. While I show actually the thing that we're going to add this to. Massive amount of notifications today. Where's our... Here. So for those who don't know, I have this automation that tweets out at 11 a.m. every day. That just takes one of my dev tips, which is on this part of my site. Could be anything, one of these. I haven't styled this page yet, so yeah, that's great. But it takes one of these, takes the content, takes these, makes images out of them, and then ships them to Twitter. People tend to like it, which is pretty dope. People tend to like the MDX ones more than the CLI ones, so this one's not doing as well. But yeah, it's kind of nice that I can share this kind of thing with people automatically, having already written the content and everything. But that's what we're going to do here, where I'm basically going to need to save the Twitter URLs of the tweets that I sent out, so that I can basically display them on maybe an admin UI in my next stream. TTL is probably, yeah. So I don't really need a TTL because I don't need to delete any documents here. This function runs once a day, so if I run it for a year, I'll have 365 entries, which is not a lot. History. Document history is retained for at least this many days. Clearing the field will retain history forever. But please note that this will increase storage utilization. The field defaults to 30 days and can be changed later. So one of the things that I did notice in the documents that I was reading is that you can basically query at a time in the past, which is kind of cool, which I assume is what they mean by history here. So if like I had a document that I created today, and then I created an update to that document tomorrow, and then 3 days from now, I wanted to query what the original state of the document was like, I can make a query with today as timestamp and get the state of the database at that time. That doesn't mean the data gets deleted though, right? I think the document history data would get deleted if you enabled this. So if you needed like an audit trail, maybe you could set this to 0, and then basically what they're saying is it increases storage utilization if you don't. But yeah, that's fine. I think actually, So I don't know yet how I'm going to set this up. I'm basically going to have a Twitter URL, and I can do one of two things in the future. So I can say, hey, we used this Twitter URL. It starts at 0 likes or 0 retweets or something like that, right? And then a week from now, I can send out another request and check that URL for how many likes or whatever it got, and then update that document with the number of likes, and then do like past query or history queries to get the change over time, which is interesting. I actually thought that there might have been sirens in the back, Eco, so well done. So yeah, I don't know if history is meant to be used like that. But I assume since this is a document database, I could query all of the documents and then roll them up and then display them. And there aren't going to be a lot of them, so I'm not really concerned about it too much. So I think I'm going to ignore history. I think I'm going to keep all history because I don't have any reason to get rid of it. John Lindquist got you with the observer tweet, for sure. Well done, Jason. They've been very happy that exists. Yeah, I was considering doing the basic one, but... So yeah, this will save all of the history since I don't know what I'm doing, and I might use the history. So there are no schemas for the documents as far as I'm aware. There does seem to be a schema for the GraphQL API. I don't know how that relates to the schema for documents. So I don't necessarily want to create a new document. I think we're at a point where we can actually go write some code. So let's do that. Let's start with the basic functionality. All we're going to do is every time we tweet out, we're going to save that document into Fauna. So what we're going to do next is hit the Go driver docs. Actually, there's two things we need to do next. One of them is going to be, I need to get an API key from Fauna somehow. And put that in a couple different places. And the other thing that we need to do is we're going to need to start importing FaunaDB into the places that we're going to need it. So let's just start writing some code here. And then when I'm ready to send the request, I will actually go and deal with auth and stuff like that. Don't care that these are out of date. Thank you. Cool. So yeah, we've got main.go, and main.go is an AWS Lambda, sets up Honeycomb for events, and then it sets up the Lambda handler. And then the handler that gets called starts a new Honeycomb event, defers the send, grabs some stuff. Okay, so this is actually the request comes in. It has a JSON payload. The payload has an auth token. We use that auth token. We can get rid of these format print lines because they don't really matter anymore. We can get rid of these format print lines too. So then we handle the request, and when we handle the request, we go into devtips.go, which basically we have this one function that does handle requests, which is probably where we'll start our client. Let's pull the docs over as well. So I still don't know much about how Fauna is expecting me to do this, but I do know a little bit about document stores. So I'm going to assume that my knowledge of document stores can carry me through like inserting a document and basically updating that document or whatever. blah, 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 blah. Hopefully this works with Go modules. They don't have that in the docs, but, you know, that's a thing that happens. So we'll have Fauna here. They tend to import it as F, so we'll import it as F. I'm not using it yet, so can I CK? Nope. I think that saves it. Okay, so let's go back down to the function that we're going to start our client in. It does look like our Golang can define the schema, which is interesting. So now I'm basically wondering if I was going to access this database from a couple of different locations, how would I deal with these schema? Like if I was using Kafka or something, I'd be using Avro to define the schema. It would be nice to sort of like define the schema for my document store in the same way. I don't know if that's supported in some way, but in the example that we have here, all we have is Bootstrap client. The secret here is going to come from the environment, so if I can copy and paste my other secret handling stuff so that it works in the Lambda. Client. So access token, okay. This is not an access token anymore. It is our Fauna token. I'll do Fauna token and then call this Fauna token. And if Fauna token isn't in the environment, we basically want to fail. Which usually, so since we're in this big function here, we can just take one of these things and basically do like, if not okay, then actually I'll copy and paste it from a little inside. So I'm not going to return an error here. What I'm going to do is do this. That's actually okay as a Boolean. So what we can do here is use that format.rf that we were using before. And this will send that off to Honeycomb if we have a problem with it. So this is 500ing, and then this is not fail get list of dev tips. This is this string. Actually, let's call this failed to bootstrap Fauna, so we're not necessarily leaking anything. Who needs a hello world and Go if I can see how to connect to a document store? Well, if you need a hello world, I have Egghead videos on how to do a hello world and Go. So you can check on my stream description below the video. There's a Golang from scratch playlist. So if you're looking for that, that's there. This sounds too good to be true, especially if I can just hook it up with Netlify. I'm definitely going to have to try it out. Yeah, so it's going well so far. I don't know how it'll go when we deploy this with how it's gone in the past. But so the Fauna token is going to go here. Client is never used is the issue. Yep. Cool. So now we've hit a point where I don't know what the query language is. So we have a client. At some point in the future, I'm going to come back to this location when we get the dev tips and we pick our dev tip. And I'm going to weight how we pick the dev tips with a probability that comes from, hey, these 3 things have been tweeted in the past week. Don't tweet them this week. But to do that, I'm going to have to start inserting the data into the database first. So we want to go all the way down to post tweet, basically. What we get back is the tweet. I don't know if this will show me what anaconda.tweet has on it. But Anaconda is the Twitter library that we're using. Did we already run out of music? I need that to go on repeat. Monster Cat. Why aren't you? Abort. 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 I'm really happy with that one, actually. I like the abort. So where is the Go doc for this? Come on, just link it to me. So we need to look for tweet. And tweet will give us stuff like created@time and whatnot. So on tweet, there's created@, which is a string, which I think is okay for us. Like we don't need the time. So there's a function called created@, too, on tweet, which will give us an actual like go time.time. How do you use the commands? Yeah, for sure, Johnny. If you have any questions or anything, I'm happy to make more videos and stuff. It works. You all having fun with the new sound effects? So yeah, tweet.created@. So let's do... let's create a new struct and say...
Mike! I've got a chocolate bunny!
Well done, Nico. Well done. So let's go up here. We're going to do type FaunaTweetResult struct. We're going to have this. Is there no ID? Yeah, there's an ID. It's an int64, which is interesting. We'll do ID. This is going to be, I guess, an int64. I don't really want the... yeah, let's take the int string. I don't need it to be... I don't need this to be a number, and I don't want to deal with the fact, like, if I get this in JavaScript later, I don't want to deal with the fact that it's a number. So we're going to store the string of the ID. And I believe there is a tagged template. Yeah, there we go. So we need to use the Fauna. Well, I don't think we need to use the Fauna stuff here, but I'm going to use it for explicitness purposes because I am not familiar with the way the system works yet. So I'm just going to specify exactly what these fields are going to serialize to when we store them as a document. You're on your PC for once. Hey, I'll get plenty of work done, Vipasama. It'll be fine. Let's see. Entities is going to be interesting because it's a list of entities. I don't know that we want. I don't know that we care about the entities at all, so we're not gonna use them at all. Let's do. We're gonna want created@. We're gonna want the ID, so let's do created@. Next. And we'll call this tweet created@. Because I don't want it to be I don't want it to look like this is the created@. Of the document. I want it to be explicit that this is the time that the tweet was created at. So let's do tweet created@. Did it just get rid of my fauna? No, it didn't get rid of my fauna. Great. So we have the ID, we have the created@. I don't think that we need anything else. I think that we can get the retweet count And is there a likes count or something here? Quoted, lang. In reply to place ID favorited. I think favorited might be it, but favorited is a favorite count. There we go. So let's do retweet count. Let's do favorite count. Okay, so I think this is our struct. We have the ID of the tweet. Do we have the URL that comes back in this, actually? So we don't have to construct the URL ourselves. I don't know what source is. Are you all doing sirens? Oh, man. Well played. Well played. How many do we have now? 6? 7? Hey, doing 2 is cheating, Corey. Also, they get queued up, so I think they just keep playing. Cool. So I think that's everything we need. There is no like URL here. There is no URL, like I said before. So I don't think that we can save the URL. I think we'll next time when we actually do the query for like, I think I'm going to write a different Lambda actually, or maybe I'll write a GitHub action or something that runs on a schedule and checks the latest tweet or something like that. Or checks like the last 2 tweets or something. I don't know. We'll see. So this is our struct. This is what we're going to use when we do... Where's tweet? There's tweet. So at this point, we've tweeted. Let's do thank you, Bobby Poisson. Bobby Poisson? Later, Bipasama. Good to see you. Yeah, so at this point we've sent the tweet. What I want to do is get those fields off of the tweet and put them into this new thing that I'm going to send to hopefully Fauna. So let's do FaunaTweet equals FaunaTweet. If I can spell correctly today. FaunaTweetResult. And we will do what ID is tweet.id. And I already forget what we have for the other things because I remember things well. And this is going to be tweet.CreatedAt. Why is this yelling at me? Cannot use tweet.id. Oh, right. Tweet.id string. And then we have what retweets, retweet count, tweet.retweet count, and favorite count, tweet.favorite count. And I'm assuming that both of these are going to come back 0 when we start, which is great, because then I don't have to worry about actually dealing with any of the default settings. CreatedAt is going to be a string that we'll deal with later, and then ID is going to be the tweet ID. So maybe we should do, maybe this should be tweet ID and not the ID of the document. I actually don't have a reason for, I don't have any other IDs that we would search this by, but what's going to happen is we're going to insert this document and the IDs are going to be similar. So we can't put an index on ID if we do that. Or maybe we can put an index. Let's look up FaunaDB indexes, because now I'm curious. There's a quick start. We'll open the quick start just in case. Docs. This is still the same page. Okay. Tutorials, query language, functions, data types, documents. I'm just going to assume that data types are like the data types you would expect, like an int and a string and whatnot. And I'm going to assume that the Go driver deals with that for me. Let's look at indexes. Index cannot be created and read in the same transaction. Cool. A set is a sorted group of immutable data from a collection. So remember, a collection is that table. Index is a group of sets within a collection. Yeah, okay. An index is also a database entity that facilitates data lookup. Okay. So an index might be what we want here, because we might want to be selecting all of the documents that have an ID of the tweet string when we do our query. That would make a lot of sense. As long as we don't have a uniqueness query on the index, I think we'll be fine. But that does bounce us down to the serializable constraints, which are fine because we're doing this query like once a day. So unlikely that we get a partition that lasts for 48 hours, but you know, I guess there's always a chance. This is also not a critical life-saving application that I'm building, so I'm not too worried about it. When an index available, it's immediately available for reads, but returns incomplete results until it's built. Sure, that's fine. I don't have any data, so it's not really going to take any time to build. Builds the index asynchronously by scanning over relevant documents. So this is important if you're ever going to like add an index and then query it later. You'll want to add the index and then not rely on the data probably until it's done. Upon completion, the index's active field is set to true. Cool, so you can query the index and figure out when it's done. I think there was some kind of subscription or something like that. I haven't seen any other mentions of it, but follow, subscribe, follow, like. I really need to update those buttons. Okay. So we can create an index. It does look like this will do what we want it to do. I'll probably create an index after we send a tweet out, maybe. Or I might deal with indexes in a different thing. But it looks like when we go to query, we can query by index. I don't know what match does. I've seen match a couple different times. I'm curious what this means for them. Matching the index, and then there's a value. So matching the in the index posted by title, we're matching for the title My Cat and Other Marbles. So I don't know if that returns multiple values or not. I assume it does. It does look like we get back an object though, so maybe it doesn't. Maybe match is find one. I'm looking for the API docs somewhere. Maybe I should just go for the Go docs. The Go docs don't. Okay, there we go. Driver repository. Okay. Look for match. Match is an interface and expression. Match returns the set of documents for the specified index. So it is a set. That's good to know. I don't know why the other JavaScript example only returned one value. The only one I didn't know was the white follow button, which was GitHub and the pressed by their color. Yes, for sure. They'll all have logos on them eventually. So refs are another concept in FaunaDB that I'm not super familiar with, but I've seen mentioned a couple times, so that'll be important to actually figure out. Okay, so let's figure out how to insert documents here. I think that I'm reasonably confident that if I insert this and it has multiple IDs, that I can index on the ID and then do a query on that index for the specific ID and get them all back. But what we probably want to index on, if we're going to make the queries later, is actually not that ID. It's actually the DevTipID. tip2tweet.id. So we're going to add that to our struct because we're going to want to create an index on that later when we want to do our lookups. Yep, this is the wrong struct to put this in. I don't need a second ID there. So this is the thing that we're actually going to put the index on. I wasn't thinking correctly. We're probably going to have two indexes or something like that. One so that we can fetch the DevTipID and see when it was last tweeted, or fetch all of the dev tips that were tweeted recently, or something like that. And the other one such that we can get the ID so we can do the analytics. So let's make this DevTipID. And then this will be, I guess, TweetID, just to make this clearer, right? I don't think there's a restriction on how we need to name these things, so I'm just gonna make them explicitly clear. So we've got DevTipID, TweetID, TweetCreatedAt, RetweetCount, FavoriteCount. I think that's everything that we would actually need. What else is there on the dev tip? ID, tweet, images. We don't need to save the tweet or anything. We could save the tweet though, or save the tweet content. If we save the tweet content in the dashboard that we put together later, that could be useful. Okay. So let's go with this for now. Well, yeah, let's save the tweet content. Why not? We'll do that too. Okay, so this will be the last thing that we add. And then we'll get to actually creating this. Cool. So now we have our FaunaTweet and we want to insert it. Which is, I don't know, client dot, I guess we only get query. I don't know if we need a new session client. It looks like this new session client takes a secret, which we've already passed in. Let's assume that we're eventually going to have to run a query anyway. Query takes an expression and a value and returns a value. See you, Jason. Yeah, we'll drop by probably in 20 or 30 minutes here. I think I'll be able to get this done in that time. Okay, so insertions. What do you think insertions are called? I think it's called like create or something. Actually, if we go and look at this too, this does a new FaunaClient and it doesn't do anything else. So it doesn't do a new session thing. I don't know what the session is for, so let's check out the session. So new FaunaClient. So FaunaClient, new FaunaClient. Avoid copying the structure. If you need to create a client with a different secret, use the new session client method. We don't need a client with a different secret. We're only going to be using the one secret, so we don't need this. Batch query looks like multiple things. We don't need batch. We only have this one thing to do. Query is the primary method to send a query language expression to FaunaDB. Okay, so there is no other thing that we need other than query. So we're in query. Let's take a look at how to construct expressions. I assume FQL is the thing here. Let's go documents. Documents. All documents have a common set of characteristics. Documents have an identifier called a ref. A document's ref encodes its collection along with its unique ID. The combination of these attributes forms a unique identifier for the document within the scope of the database in which it is stored. Okay, so we will need an ID of some kind. I think we can construct that out of the DevTipID combined with the TweetID combined with when the tweet was created. I think these three things combine to give us enough uniqueness to which we can get a document that is unique, especially since we're including the timestamp. I don't particularly want to include the timestamp, but if we do, I guess actually the TweetID is going to be unique, except for the fact that, so we'll want to update these, is what we'll want to do. If each of these documents needs to be unique, then we don't want to, we don't have anything here that will be sufficiently unique to separate two different documents. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to take one of these fields as sort of the ref, right? The dev tip and the tweet ID, for example, because the tweet ID was tweeted at the time. And when we go and we check the tweet for the new analytics, we can get the dev tip ID and the tweet ID and combine them to get the current version of the document. That seems right. Common, blah, blah, blah. Okay, user-specified documents have a timestamp that identifies when the document was created. Great. So now I'm glad that I did the TweetCreatedAt because it won't conflict. FaunaDB documents are versioned, so that's what we were just talking about. And the versions are distinguished using the timestamp. Interesting. When a query does not specify a timestamp, the latest versions of any documents involved are used. Okay, so we're not going to be concurrently updating this at all, and this is going to run maybe once a day. So I think that we don't need to hand it a timestamp, but we could. Documents have an optional TTL. Okay. Document removal is handled by a background task. We're not using TTL this time. And I think actually what we're going to do in this case is we are going to be able to use the history if we want to check when things get their like tweets or when they get different statistics. Documents are manipulated with the same query language as functions, such as get, create, update, replace, or delete. So we want create. So let's look for create. A lot of creates here. Let's do func create. Ref, params, interface, create class, create collection, create database. There's no create document, so I'm assuming create is create document. Create creates a document of the specified collection. How do we specify the collection? Ref. Ref is a collection reference. So we need to, I'm going to write these down here. Get collection reference. Use create to create document. The refs are generated by Fauna. Okay, so what you're saying is that when I want to insert into the collection that we created, which is somewhere around here. So we have this DevTip tweets collection. I haven't looked to see where my token is, but I don't think the token specifies the collection to add it into. So I think we need to get that. But there are some examples here. So we could look for so there's some index stuff here. I'm questioning if I should get the untitled goose game. I've never heard of that game. Is it like the goat game where you basically live roleplay as a goat and mesh stuff? Bitemporal database, cool. We'll get into that eventually. Multi-tenant, we're not multi-tenant yet. CRUD examples. CRUD example will probably show the thing that we need to get a... So this is in the admin stuff. We already have a database. We already have a collection. So a database has some collections. Where's our get? Create a collection, paginate collections, get a collection. Okay. So this is the query that we need to run to get a collection. Sirens. Yeah. I'm gonna finish this up over the next 20 minutes or so and then probably raid him. Port. Let's see. So we get this collection. It gives us the ref, it looks like. If we get this collection, so this is Q. I think we can use F because I think that's our import. Collection is not declared by package, so that's interesting. Let's check for collection. It is definitely declared. Okay. Func collection, name interface, collection creates a new collection. Okay, so we don't want... So do we want to create a new ref? Okay, so there was a doc that I saw that is FQL for SQL users. You can see in my history, I already went to this. Insert. Oh, so we don't even need... Okay, so we don't actually need to do this whole thing here. That's cool. I don't know why it's not available. I'm just going to assume that that's wrong. But we don't need to get this anymore. So we need to get... I think this is f.Create, right? If we do create, ref interface and then param. So ref and then FaunaTweet, right? So technically, I think this is how it should work for the Go query. Did you make a complete transformation in such a short period of time while you were at Gatsby? What do you mean by... I don't know what you're talking about. Complete transformations? I missed something, obviously. You might need an admin key for listing collections, if not mistaken. I don't need to list collections, I just need to use one. So I need to query to create a collection, a document in this collection. I think this is how it works. This is obviously not working for some reason. Do not. Do not ever attribute that to me. That was obviously a quote. That was so ridiculous. Okay, so we have all that stuff. It's interesting that collection isn't just like here. Or it's interesting that my tooling is having a problem finding it. What is their expression? Maybe it's f dot expression dot collection.
Like I remember you.
Is that what I need to do? I don't know how to get an expression. Where's expression? Expression is the base for the query language. Expressions are created when using the query language functions in query.go. Query functions are designed to compose with each other as well as custom data structures. For example, oh, there we go. Create collection, and then the object. So I'm still not sure where collection is supposed to come from. And I think that the f import is actually just messing me up now. Because none of the examples use it, except for that one first example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this and see if collection comes in. Undeclared, okay. Well, that didn't work. So it's interesting to me that collection is not around. So FaunaGo, FaunaDB. Maybe there's a query that I'm supposed to be. Import f, FaunaGo, FaunaDB. Yep. f.Object key, f.Object key. New client, f.Create collection. We're not creating a collection. Yeah, f.Collection. So my tooling must just be off. So let's just continue and see what we do here. TweetRecord. And then we get FaunaErr. Probably the library was not updated. I mean, collection is like, seems pretty basic, right? So let's do this though. Let's take this. Let's copy this out for a second. Let's go to the test file that we have here. Let's not do this, and let's do test Fauna. Let's testing testing. I forget all the time what this is. Testing.t. And then we will put our stuff here. We will import into here, and we will run it from here to test it out. And then we will format the print line for FaunaErr. Format print line for newTweetRecord. And FaunaTweet needs to be created, so FaunaTweet will be FaunaTweetResult, and we're just going to set everything here manually. So DevTipID, something tip, TweetID, some TweetID. What else do we have here? TweetContent, some tweet, TweetCreatedAt, a date, and then what was the other one? Retweet count, favorite count. Zero, favorite count, 0. So now we have a thing. And then we should be able to run go test. And you know, I try the official docs instead of docs in the driver's GitHub repo. The docs.fauna.com/fauna/current API FQL functions. Yeah, so we need create collection ref and param object. That seems to be the right thing. I think we're already on the right pathway here, right? And there's a language switcher at the top. Oh, yeah, I totally missed this. This is way scaled back. I kind of expected it to be like here somewhere, like on the code blocks or something. But yeah, I totally missed that. But yeah, this is what I'm looking at. This is the same thing though. This is exactly what okay, so this is f.Object. But so my question here is the other examples showed passing in a struct with the fauna tags on it. But my problem isn't that that's not the problem. The problem is that collection isn't appearing. We also need a client here. Where's the client code? Oops, that's the wrong client. So we'll get faunaToken, we'll get that is a problem that I will need to fix. That was actually a bug that I just noticed from the other client implementation. So this is not faunaToken, this is faunaToken. So OK is here. We're not going to use this. This is the problem. Like fauna f.Collection is not declared by package FaunaDB. That's the thing that's concerning me. It's not like any of the API stuff. The API stuff seems pretty like straightforward. I don't know FQL, so I'm still like sort of seeing what is create and what is collection and what is object and whatnot. But the problem seems to be that the Go tooling doesn't see collection being exported from the package. So I'm going to go test here. And hopefully it will fail with a go source, devtip, go test. Hopefully this will fail, right? So yeah, faunadb.collection is not defined. That is the problem currently. And it's f.collection here. So it's not something that I think I'm doing. Right, it's github.com, faunadb go, faunadb. That doesn't happen to be in this particular code example. That's messy. The docs are not correlating well with the actual library. Thanks, Wisdom. I appreciate that. Let me know if you want to see me do anything else, because right now I'm running into a bit of trouble with this. So github.com, Fauna, FaunaDB, go FaunaDB, right? If I go, and this is on the Fauna docs. So this is the official docs. And it doesn't have collection. And collection is shown in every example. So I'm going to go look at the actual repository, FaunaDB, client. I assume it's in query, which is what one of the other docs said. Collection. So it might be called f.Collection. F.Collection creates a new ref based on the provided collection and ID. F.Collection takes a collection ref. Okay, so I don't have a collection reference, so I can't pass it into f.Collection. Collections. Collections map, for each, take, drop, prepend. More collection stuff, create class. Create collection is not what we want because we're not creating a collection, we're just accessing one. Collection creates a new collection. So there is a collection in here. Let's just do this to make sure that it pulls down the appropriate resources. Yeah, FaunaDB.collection not defined. That's so... there it is in the code. So I'm wondering if the issue is that I'm getting an old version of the library because I'm using Go modules or something. How long ago was collection added, Summer? Schrader. I mean, it has to have been a long, long time ago, right? A few weeks ago. Okay, so collection is recent. So I might just have an old version of the library. Try class. Deprecated, use collection and said, okay, cool. I'm okay with using something that's deprecated just to get this going and then figure it out. It was a couple months ago now. It's all right, no worries. I know how that gets. Name string, name of the class, returns, ref, class reference. So it should just be the name. What are you trying to do here? I am trying to insert a document. So I have this FaunaTweet thing with all the Fauna stuff on it. So like all of the tags and stuff. And then I have my token and my client, and then client.Query, f.Create, f.Collection on DevTipTweets, and then I have my thing. So really all I'm trying to do is insert this into the collection DevTipTweets. So you're telling me that class, what they used to be called, if it's still there for the old way of doing things, then this should fail in a different way. Oh, I'm still using collection somewhere, but that doesn't matter, I think, because we can go test and run our thing, and it should fail on the environment variable. Am I still using collection somewhere? No, but I think that devtips.go needs to be correct as well. Class. I'll just leave a note to myself. Class is deprecated. Try to use collection. And then we'll go back and we'll try to test it. Should fail in the environment variable. Unauthorized, perfect. Unauthorized is good. Unauthorized means that it's time to get the my secret, which I need to find. And I hope is not just showing in the UI, because then I will have to reset it. How do I access this? It will show in the UI. Okay. In that case, I am going to click around a little bit under the Be Right Back screen. I'm going to hit this security thing right here and see if that's where my API token is. It would be nice if the API token was like somewhere like here's a new index. It would be nice if it was like get API token or something like that. Because there are clearly no documents yet and I haven't inserted anything and I need that to do that. So hang on, we're going to the BRB screen. Okay, so I'll show this before I do that. The security pane shows me a create your first key. And then I'll create this key and hope it doesn't show. I am dropping this in my... Okay, so it does turn out that the key when you create it asks for a role. So there's admin, there's server read-only, and there's client. It looks like I could use server. So I did that. And then the database is the current database. The key does actually get shown like right here in large characters on the screen. It would be really nice if that was not the case, such that I could do this on stream and like copy it out. But yeah, I understand why that kind of thing isn't implemented yet. So this should work now. If I go out one directory and then come back in. I think I should be able to go into go source, go devtip, and test this, and hopefully it'll work. So now I got a problem, which is probably related to me passing in the... Actually, I think that was fine. I think that's good. Because I think this was the error, and I think the next one is not. So let's go check our database. Hey, we got something. So we passed in the wrong stuff, which is totally cool. Because passing in the wrong stuff. So we have about 6 minutes here. I'm going to try to make this Fauna tweet the right thing. There is the f.objects happening here for basically everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change from the way that it was showing me to do that before, like profile here. Oh, there we go. f.object. Perfect. I bet you this is it. So f.object. It would be really nice if I didn't have to do this because it seems like this is going to happen every single time. So if it could automatically wrap data, that would be really cool. Because I haven't seen anything that would be like a second key in this object other than data. So if I just passed in a struct that had all the tags and everything, it could just do that. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons that is not currently the way it works, but let's try this again. Dashboard is not real time, it looks like. So these are both still empty. f.object FaunaTweet. So we have f.object data fauna. Where is the other docs that we had up? Right, so here's profile. It's just a struct. They pass the profile into f.object with the data key and the profile, which is exactly what I'm doing with the collection, which we're using class because we need to, and query, and all of that's fine. And that all seems... Oh, you know what I did? I did this in the actual file and not the test, and I'm running the test. Because that is a brilliant thing to do on stream, as per usual. So that's good. Something just failed because I just missed a semicolon or something. Okay. So now we have a map with content in it. I assume that means that we succeeded. I'll wait another half a second here to see if it pops up. I don't think it does because last time I had to click here and before it popped up. Do I have to refresh the page? There we go. So we've inserted something into Fauna, which is pretty dope, using Golang, using the driver, using the FQL query language. So I think the only serious thing that we ran into is that we needed to use the deprecated class instead of collection. But everything else seems to be working really, really well. I mean, that was only an hour and a half, and I spent the first half hour explaining FaunaDB and like the extreme basics of Calvin Spanner and stuff. So it took us maybe an hour to get an actual successful document into Fauna, which is pretty dope. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to finish up the rest of this off stream and ship it. And then maybe next stream, like on a Monday or something, I will go back and we will go into how to query this. Because I actually am really happy with this. It basically only took me one line to deal with this. Everything else is basically just my unfamiliarity with the system, except for that one deprecated function. So maybe on Monday we'll go into indexes and we'll go into how to query this and set up the probability so that, or maybe do a query so that we don't tweet anything that's been tweeted in the last 7 days, which will be really nice. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy with this. Now you're in for a treat. What we're going to do now is go raid Jason. So if you're interested in that, yeah, I think that I'm comfortable with ending here. and we can go hang out with Jason for a bit. But yeah, if you're interested in that extra querying and stuff, I'll be doing that on Monday. So let me know. Yeah, and thanks for hanging out, Summer. I really appreciate it, because I wouldn't have found that class thing if you were not here.